Good afternoon, fellow patriots. This is Matt Shea, and welcome to Patriot Radio, broadcasting live from deep inside the heart of the future Liberty State. Sponsored once again by On Fire Ministries, in the legacy of Dr. Stan Monteith, bringing you the story behind the story and the news behind the news, where it's not about right or left, it's about right and wrong. It's about our hope not being in man, but in Jesus Christ. About not ending in prayer, but moving to action. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Father, deliver us from the evil one.
Welcome to Patriot Radio.
Good afternoon, fellow patriots. This is Matt Shea, and today on Patriot Radio, the globalists are on the move, and Trump declassifies the JFK files as promised. And our guest today, giving us an update on what's going on with the J6ers, David Sumrall. Here at Patriot Radio, we will give you the information before everybody else so you and your family can be prepared for the times ahead and the times that are already upon us. No fear, though. We were made for this. Today, if you have the opportunity, you can follow us on Telegram for real-time intelligence analysis and breaking news. Check it out. A great aggregate. If you are not following us, it's a simple click and you're in the know. Also, if you've been isolated during this time, or you feel that things are so traumatic for you, or maybe you've just had the hard knocks of life knock the wind out of you and need some prayer, part of what we do here at Patriot Radio is join you in your walk so that you're not alone, but you're with this great group of patriots and Christians around the country. So click on the QR code, send us a prayer request. We would love to walk with you on your journey to your destiny. Now, today we have a lot on the intelligence briefing, but I want to leave enough time for David Sumrall, what's actually happening with the J6ers. There's still some foot dragging happening, and everybody needs to know this and help join in the call for justice for these political prisoners, the last of them, to be freed. So we're going to get to that here in just a moment. But first, wisdom from the Word, coming to us from 1 John chapter 1. Now, if you don't know the book of John in the gospel, and you confuse it with the letters of John, it's important to understand that actually 3 John was written first. And it was written because it was supposed to squash a Gnostic heresy. And John thought he didn't need to write a lot to do that. Well, it still continued. And so he wrote 2 John, and then he wrote 1 John. So 1 John chapter 1 would have been one of the later letters that he actually wrote. Here's what he writes in verse 6. If we say that we have fellowship with him and yet walk in the darkness, we lie and do not practice the truth. Notice you have to practice the truth. It's something that you have to do on a regular basis, on a daily basis. Espouse the truth, live truth by your example. Praise truth when you see it espoused by others. So practicing the truth is key. But then it continues, but if we walk in the light, as he himself is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, his son, cleanses us from all sin. So when we're walking in the light, we practice truth. Even if we slip up, even if we stumble, we haven't lost our robe of righteousness. We haven't lost our salvation. Now, I don't believe once saved, always saved. I don't want to get into controversy there, because I do believe people have a free will, and free will has to exist for there to be true love. You can't put a gun to somebody's head and tell them to love someone or love God. So, my point with that is that when you walk in the light, God will cleanse you of the places where you've messed up. Don't let that be hung over your head. Don't let that be the reason your light is hidden under a bushel basket. But instead, practice the truth, walk in him, and when you do, you'll be cleansed of all sin, and you'll be able to walk into your destiny as a shining light to everyone else around you. And that brings us now to your daily intelligence brief. Coming to us from a very active globalist front.
The future is built by us. We have the means to make progress on the global agenda.
Now, there have been a lot of great executive orders that have come out, but, well, the globalists are meeting in Davos this week, and Trump did sign an executive order that backs AI data centers, new generation of mRNA gene therapy injections as well. That obviously should give us all some pause. AI can be used for good or it can be used for evil. And the problem is some of these technocrats, they're all about reducing the size of government. They want the size of government reduced, and they want all those bureaucrats replaced with AI. So you've got a really good thing that can be twisted just a little bit into something very, very bad. So we need to watch these things, and for those that have direct lines of communication with Trump, to utter that caution that mRNA gene therapy injections can be used to specifically target ethnicities, can be used to change your DNA forever. So this isn't something that should be taken lightly, and it is not something really that engenders freedom when we allow people to try to own our DNA. And that brings us to a very interesting Klaus Schwab today. I'm not going to have you listen to his voice, but he came out with a 2025 risk report, a dystopian manifesto, if you will, straight out of Orwell's nightmares, as somebody commented. We must address misinformation and disinformation. There are increasing divisions within societies and countries. We stand at the brink of an intelligent age. This transition carries unprecedented risks for humanity, and it offers significant opportunities for a new renaissance. Interesting how they phrase these things, because just the other day, one of the globalists at the World Economic Forum admitted that globalism had failed. And so it looks like they're trying to regroup at this point and come back even stronger. Trump, in a good news, smashed the Biden global minimum tax. So this signed away this global minimum tax signed away American corporate interests to the European Union in 2021. It was a disaster waiting to happen. It was a 15% minimum global tax rate and would have prevented future presidents from cutting taxes, targeted U.S. companies, and let EU countries raid American businesses. It was a complete sellout of American sovereignty, as rightly analyzed by Rod D. Martin. So Trump got rid of this, crushed it, and a really big move against globalism. Also, on a very concerning and precedent-setting front. Now, this happened in Zimbabwe, and now it's happening in South Africa. South Africa's property grab. Their parliament is pushing forward a law that allows for expropriation of land without compensation, and it's sending shockwaves across the globe. Not just about land, it's about dismantling property rights altogether. Now, the ANC, these are communists. They're not maybe communists. These are actual communists. So when it says, communism is potentially, no, it's there in South Africa. This is communism. They want to set a precedent of seizing private property rights and test it out in South Africa and what the resistance is going to be, particularly from white farmers, which has happened in Zimbabwe as well. And really, this is just racism and an excuse to rob people. Now, we are given a God-given unalienable right to life, liberty, property, and the ability to defend the same. Thou shalt not steal is where we get a property right from God. So we have a constitutionally protected right. We don't have constitutional rights. Our rights don't come from a document. They come from God. They are protected by the Constitution. And the point here is, regardless of what ethnicity you are in the United States of America, you have a God-given unalienable property right that's protected by the Constitution. They're trying to undermine this on the global level. And in the Communist Manifesto, Chapter 2, it specifically says that one of the goals of communism is to abolish private property rights. This is a test that's happening. And you'll notice some of the black and red. So this is communist activists, shock troops, black and red. We just need to pray for everyone in South Africa because this is something that would create a civil war. World Economic Forum has argued in favor of giving nature, rivers, valleys, and streams personhood. Really what that is a promotion of neo-paganism, the granting of personality to nature is just another form of Gaia worship or earth worship. And again, this is the globalist one world religion right here. Try to worship the environment. They're failing everywhere, so they're trying to regroup and get people to buy into this. But it really does come around climate action and come around this watermelon, green on the outside, but really red communist on the inside control mechanism that they want to implement. That brings us now to the China front. Speaking of communists. Indonesia eyes BrahMos missiles in $450 million deal with India. So again, the South Pacific really heating up. Typhoon systems moved but remain in the Philippines. Per a Reuters report, the U.S. military has shifted the location of its Typhoon launchers in the Philippines but kept them on the northern island of Luzon. The redeployment was considered as somewhat of an exercise, but moving these locations is critical to maintaining the strategic element of surprise. Also, significant PLA activity around Taiwan today. 35 aircraft, 6 planned vessels around Taiwan. 27 of the aircraft crossed the median line and entered Taiwan's northern and southern and eastern air defense identification zone. Things again heating up right now after Trump's inauguration. This is a flex, obviously, by China. In some good news, the Constitutional Court of Korea has voted against the DP party's impeachment of President Yoon's communication commissioner, which signals a very likely vote against Yoon's impeachment, which is an attempted communist coup there in South Korea. So we're going to be watching this very carefully, but it does look good right now for Yoon to hold out against what the communists are doing. Also, the Chinese Navy commissioned its first 054B frigate. This is going to become the backbone of the Chinese Navy, and they're going to not just commission one of these things, they're commission dozens and dozens of them. We're going to watch this clear indicator and signal. China is arming up for war in the South Pacific. After the break, we're going to be talking about what is happening in the Middle East. And once again, some significant developments here in the United States with the declassification, finally, of the JFK files.
Attention business owners and entrepreneurs, Patriot TV is launching a brand new TV series showcasing American-made products, and your business could be featured. Whether you sell your products online on Etsy or Shopify and dream of reaching millions of viewers on smart TVs like Samsung, Sony, TCL, and LG, or apps like Roku, Android, and Apple TV, this is your chance. We're searching for US-based businesses offering all types of products and services proudly made in the USA. If you've ever wanted to showcase your products on TV like QVC or the Home Shopping Network, now's your opportunity. Support our American economy, grow your business, and be seen by loyal Patriot viewers across the country. Know someone with a business or have a business yourself? Don't miss out. Contact us at supportingpatriots.com today. Be a guest on this new exciting TV series. Let's put your American-made products in the spotlight.
Vladimir Putin will remain in office until 2036.
Putin is being called bold.
What's your strategy? Bring them back to the Stone Age.
Daring. You won't be able to look away.
How can his kingdom last?
Putin. Rated R. In select theaters January 10th.
From Horizon Events comes a bold and daring new thriller, Putin, that tells the inside story of Vladimir Putin's rise to power and imagines how in the near future that rise could come to a shocking and very quick end. Putin is rated R and is in select theaters Friday. Now, as we've been talking about on Patriot Radio recently, we are helping to build across this country a patriot economy with many other great patriot organizations and radio show hosts. And one of the ways that we can do that, and one of the core ways that we need to do that, is with a patriot bank. Because when big banks decide who gets to access America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant and free market economy. But there is a solution. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. And Old Glory Bank stands for privacy, security, and liberty. It stands for God, country, family, and flag. And it stands for all the values you stand for. And for the values big banks like Bank of America can't stand. You can help Old Glory Bank, owned by Main Street, not Wall Street, by opening an account in minutes and now by becoming an owner. You have the opportunity to invest in a bank that's invested in freedom and fairness. And you can purchase freely tradable stock in Old Glory Bank. And to consider ownership of Old Glory Bank, go to own.oldglorybank.com. And like all investments, this opportunity involves risk and is not FDIC insured. Now, I wanted to mention this quickly, that part of the reason for the push for a Patriot Bank is what we saw today, where Bank of America was called out by President Trump regarding executive orders because a bunch of people had been debanked, including people like Eric Prince. So this is something real, and just 4 years from now, things could take a dramatic turn negative, or even 2 years from now. So we don't stop and take a deep breath and rest just because Trump's in the presidency. We need to solidify a patriot economy, a Christian economy, because the Marxists are not sleeping and they're waiting for their next opportunity to move. That brings us now to the Middle East front. The new Syrian government has terminated the long-term lease contract of the Tartus port to Russia, effective immediately. Originally, it was scheduled to run until 2068. So Russia's formal chapter in Syria is now, in fact, over. Saudi Crown Prince MBS spoke with President Trump on the phone, and he told him that he was planning on investing and also increasing trade with the United States, $600 billion in the next 4 years, according to the Saudi state news agency. Hamas leader Osama Hamdan, October 7th war was about liberating Jerusalem, not defense. So clearly they're indicating they're not stopping fighting. And Israel is going to have to stop them, it looks like, with force again. History will remember Turkish President Erdogan. The Syrian people will always stand by the people of Turkey, and we will never forget their support. That was the Syrian leader, Al-Jalani, praising Turkey because Turkey is set to announce sometime in the next few years the creation of the caliphate. Now, by the way, 1,400 years of war between Islam and the West. Every time there's been a caliphate, it means instant war against Christians and Jews all over the world, no matter where they are at. And a lot of people have forgotten that, forgotten history to their peril. U.S. President Donald Trump said earlier today it would be, quote, nice, end quote, if the ongoing problems with Iran could be solved without Israeli strikes against its nuclear facilities. I think that's a clear warning to Iran to back down. So we will see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Also, one of the more disturbing news stories today, Iraq voted to lower the legal age of marriage for girls to 9. Why? Because that's when Muhammad consummated his marriage with Aisha. They're just following the Prophet's example. This is Sharia law and has no place in Western civilization. Also, a Trump executive order enables the deportation of foreign Hamas supporters in the United States. Robert Spencer has the article. And I think it's a very good point that these recognized terror groups around the world put on a different mask inside the United States, but it's the same old thing. And will the Trump administration, under the new FBI director, Kash Patel, investigate and disrupt these jihadi networks inside the U.S.? That brings us now to the Russia front. This just in moments ago, Ukrainian attack drone successfully struck Russia's second largest microelectronics manufacturer, the JSC Grupa Kremny plant in Bryansk. It's like one tall building is burning. There was also a successful drone attack that hit Russia's Ryazan oil refinery, causing massive explosions in a series of places as well. Looks like some things are happening there that don't indicate maybe a peace soon. Trump was asked by people in Davos whether there will be a ceasefire agreement in place between Russia and Ukraine by next year. Trump said, well, you'll have to ask Russia. Ukraine is ready to make a deal. The Kremlin is steadily advancing its Russian-Belarusian economic integration, is setting conditions for Russia to subsume Belarus's economy. That's continuing forward for sure. And again, this looks more like posturing for 20 years from now, not posturing for a ceasefire within the near term. Also, Visegrad 24 highlighting recent mass stabbings targeting kids in Europe. In Germany in 2025, an Afghan asylum seeker stabbed kids in a park. Toddler was killed. Southport 2024 in England. 17-year-old son of asylum seekers from Rwanda stabbed 3 girls to death. By the way, I believe he was just sentenced to 3 life terms. And then in France, in 2003, a Syrian asylum seeker stabbed 4 kids at a playground. I believe that's supposed to be 2023. Which brings us now to the Central and South America front. So, Mexico, right outside of Ciudad Juarez, is setting up tents right now to receive all of the people that are about to be deported to Mexico. Also, Marco Rubio embarked on his first trip as Secretary of State. Where did he go? To Panama. Quote, we won't ignore the region any longer, end quote. Trump is serious about Panama. That brings us now to the national front. Footage has just been released of the violent January 20th Inauguration Day Antifa attack on the Multnomah County Elections Office in Portland, Oregon. The story has received little media attention, despite the literal attack on democracy. 8 to 10 masked militants wearing, interestingly, non-black outfits. So they're getting away from black box so that they are not easily identified. That is a clue, an indicator that everybody listening to this show should be paying attention to for your own cities. And they tried to evade suspicion as they walked to the target and destroyed the exterior of the elections office and spray-painted anarchist and Antifa propaganda messages. So Antifa did attack at least one location. There are also reports in other cities of Antifa scouts beginning to mark around the city with a very specific moniker. We don't know if they're marking for routes or they're marking for places to drop bricks and other things to throw. I don't know, but it is happening. It does seem like the Marxists are regrouping for something to happen here in the next 90 days. U.S. news giant CNN cut 200 jobs with a streaming overhaul. No one, at least that I know of, is sad about that. And U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to declassify several documents related to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. It's going to be very interesting to see what was in those. The last time the document dumps came out, What went underreported was an interesting CIA dossier from South America in the late 1960s that purported to have a picture of Adolf Hitler and that he survived World War II. So, it got buried in the JFK files, obviously because it was controversial, had nothing really to do with it, I guess. But it'll be interesting to see if there's some of these kind of things in this last batch of files as it is declassified. Florida is on its way to becoming fluoride-free thanks to the leadership of RFK Jr. and many others, and the Florida Attorney General this past week. Multiple cities in Florida voted to ban the substance from the water supply, giving power back to the people to make their own medical choices. Amen. It'd be great to see how many states follow that lead. President Trump signed a pardon for anti-abortion protesters. Absolutely amazing. And one of those, a brave mother wrongfully separated from her children for standing in truth, has been reunited with her family. God is revealing his glory and justice, showing that suffering is only for a season. Yeah, I agree with that quote. That's pretty amazing. And the fact of the matter is that Bevelyn Williams showed extraordinary courage. And I think this is going to be an example. What price are we willing to pay for doing the right thing? Also, Senate advances Pete Hegseth's nomination despite GOP dissent from Collins and Murkowski. Dear Alaska, can you do something about that? I don't know if there's an election or a recall. I don't know what is happening up there, but she is standing in the way of freedom. And I know that's not the heart of the people in Alaska. So everybody listening up there, I'm sure you already know this, but wow. Yikes, standing in the way of Hegseth's nomination. But it does look like he will be confirmed soon. And Tom Cotton came out and said that they're willing to stay there all weekend if that's what it takes to get Trump's nominees through. So finally some backbone coming from the Republicans. Amazing stuff. Also, the FBI raided an office of a prominent judge and former illegal alien. I want you to read that again. Former illegal alien in Rhode Island. That judge resigned his position following the raid. Wow. It's happening, everybody. Also, Trump's incoming Secret Service director to clean house on the first day in new role, up to 10 senior leadership officials to be ousted. Amen. There needs to be a cleaning of house, and not just the Secret Service, but also U.S. Marshals, FBI, all over the board. It's good to see it's already started. Now, this is an interesting article from Western Journal. The House has okayed the Laken-Riley Act. The next stop is Trump's desk. The bill, which Trump supported as part of his crackdown on illegal immigration, will be the first for him to sign in his second term as president. It toughens penalties on illegal immigrants who commit crimes such as theft. It passed the House 263 to 156, with 46 Democrats joining every single Republican to support the bill. And on Monday, it passed the Senate 64 to 35. So, again, headed in the right direction in securing our southern border. And last but not least, Trump revealed how close we were to losing America forever. This is a quote that'll probably live on in perpetuity. Quote, "We can get our country back, but if we didn't win this race, I really believe our country would have been lost forever," end quote. You know, I agree. I think God's mercy has been poured out on all of us. And I think, too, that many people don't understand how close we actually came to a revolutionary communist overthrow of this great land. And it took all of us as Americans to stand at the right time and stand with strength and courage. And that's the briefing. Remember, the antidote to dependency and socialism is to be a God-fearing, self-reliant, freedom-loving American. Once again, thank you to everybody that has been praying for us. And if you need real-time intelligence analysis and breaking news, please make sure to go to the QR code and follow us on Telegram. When we come back from the break, our guest, David Sumrall, with the latest on the J6ers that are still being held hostage.
Throughout history, The spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Hey folks, it's your buddy John Rich here and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
And we're back with our guest, David Sumrall. He's a Christian carpenter, small business owner, activist, citizen journalist, documentary filmmaker. And if you haven't seen his documentaries, Writing History, Bloody Hill, 1,000 Days of Terror, check it out. He's also the founder of StopHate.com and the co-founder of the American Celebration Tour and the creator and host of Discussion Island and the American Gulag Chronicles board president. He is doing so much and has done so much to free the J6ers. And David, I have to applaud you. Justice finally arrived, at least for a great majority of them. Give us an update of where everything is at. Thank you for all of your hard work. Wow, incredible. Oh, it looks like we lost the audio just now. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, and so can the rest of America. Go ahead.
That is great. Listen, thank you for having me, and glory to God for this. You know, He gave us the ability, the skills, the connections, the information, the research, the testimony, the witnesses, the videos. Everything is in His script, His story, His plan, and we're just the recipients of what we believe is a truly miraculous time and moment, not just in the release of these people, but the exposure of what it has done. Now, update, yes, Trump pardoned everyone and commuted everyone, but there are still 3 people that we're aware of in the D.C. Gulag that have not been released, and we have 2 others that I believe are still in transit, and we have a dozen or more people that still face secondary charges, charges stemming from the arrest or stemming from the trials. And then we have others that are still being threatened with like a probationary monitoring, and their charges are gone. So what are they monitoring? It's really disgusting what these judges are trying to double down on these J6ers and inflict even more cruelty and pain on them and their families when Trump obviously and very blatantly said, release them all. I want it done today. They've suffered long enough. So we have a couple of things we're looking at, you know, and one of those is to really help President Trump by taking out these judges legally and show the world what they did. If Trump could come through and appoint all new federal judges, and then if Pam Bondi would take out the bad AUSA, the bad attorneys, we can own the Justice Department. And unfortunately, we can't start this golden era until we get justice for these people.
We can't. And I want to talk about this quickly. I mean, obstruction of justice, that's what this is. Obstruction of justice is a crime. So how can they even try to put extra things on? It's as if when somebody's pardoned, it's as if it never happened. So how could they put on monitoring, right? Or drag their feet of people in transit or add new charges when it was a blanket pardon?
That's the key. We have to look out for new charges. If they release these with prejudice or without prejudice, it really plays a difference in whether or not they can seek future charges. So we need a little more protection, and Trump just needs to understand that the DOJ is still being weaponized against American citizens, and that has not stopped. He really needs to come in strong and set a message, make a clear message to these people that if you do this, there are consequences. And my suggestion is for everyone in the prisons that are involved in this, for every hour that they keep these people from getting their freedom should represent a year in jail. If you keep them for 20 hours, it's 20 years. 40 hours is 40 years. You're already at life sentences, people. You should stop. If we pass a certain point, it needs to become more serious for the people that are doing this than the people it's happening to. And, when we had people traveling across the country to pick their family members up, waiting in the sub-freezing degree temperatures outside these prisons, and the delays that took place, and we're processing them, we're doing paperwork, y'all can sit out and freeze. And then days later, I don't think America knows that we're still waiting for the release of some of these people, that these judges are that criminal.
That is unbelievable. So let's go through a couple of these. I mean, one of them is a decorated Green Beret. I mean, this, yes. And they tried to co-opt him. He did the right thing, stood on principle, stood on his conscience. And that's really why he's in there. Why are they how are they possibly still holding him? What have they said?
So his stems from state charges, which, a federal pardon doesn't take care of. But this is fruit of the poisonous tree. When Jeremy Brown said, I'm going to expose the fact that you tried to recruit me, they literally went after him to take that pound of flesh from him and his family. He is a true American hero, decorated veteran, very intelligent, very well spoken, and completely knows and understands what's going on. That's why he's such a threat to them. And there's still a few guys that can really stir the waters up for him so bad. He is one of those individuals. Jeffrey McKillop's another. These guys are specially trained for these types of situations, and they are able to shed light on it like nobody can. So I know that they're scared of Jeremy Brown and these other men that are in there. And then we see the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and the fear through Congress when Stuart Rhodes walks through a building. I love that personally. I think it's beautiful that they're so paranoid and fearful of these good people, and maybe that just serves them right for a little while.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Jeremy. What state was he charged in first? Let me ask you that.
He's in Florida.
So, I mean, DeSantis could step in immediately and issue a state pardon. Is that correct?
Well, this is the way it works. If they're holding him hostage in D.C., we can't really do anything about it. But if they do transport him back to Florida, we've had some conversations with some representatives there, and maybe they can circumvent the system and say, well, you should have kept him in D.C. You can't protect him now, and we're going to release him, and we're going to deal with it. And if you want any of him, you've got to come through us. That's what should have happened in the first place with these attorney generals, with the governors. They should have never signed off and given the FBI the authority to come in and kidnap these good citizens from their homes and drag them out military style in the streets. And Jeremy Brown stood against that. And when they came to his house to try to recruit him for January 6th, he recorded it all with his ring cam and decided that it was important enough to show people what they were trying to do to set J6ers up. And so they've come against him with the full force. But this is one of those situations, folks. There's people like this all around the country that are being tortured by state rule, not federal. And that's the place where we, the people, have to stand up and make our voices heard and say, this is what we want. Look, Trump gave us the power back. Let's flex. Let's use that power, and let's exercise our free speech to tell everyone what we want in a very, very loud way. We can scream it from the rooftops. Let these people go. We want freedom back.
So before we get to how people can do that, I think it's important for everybody listening and watching to understand that Jeremy was not even somebody that went into the Capitol. He was on security that day for another speaker doing what, I mean, a lot of former Special Forces guys do. And I mean, that's not out of the norm or anything. He was doing the right thing that day. He was protecting his principle that he had been given responsibility for. So let's talk too about, the people in transition. Transition where or with what? What is that all about?
Well, we found that the marshals are kind of, and we've known this for a long time, but we're finding that they're going down to the wire with these judges and complicit in these crimes of transferring these guys from prison to prison. If they're in a place and we're trying to get them out of the place, then the marshals put them in a white van and drive them to another state. how does that slow the whole process down? So we're actively having meetings with members of Congress, and trying to get some kind of, fix for this, solution for this. And then they take them and play the shell game, put them in a van, drive them to another state, and you start the process over. First, you have to locate them. The families are distraught. They're just going through it, and they don't understand why, President Trump won't just put his foot down. And, the marshals went to the prison in D.C., went inside, didn't bring anybody out, and if they have that kind of power and they're not using it, we noticed this throughout the J6 experience for 4 years. The marshals were really never on our side. They did things for these judges. They moved people around at the last minute as they were filing motions in a certain court, in a certain district. And then, the marshals would come move them out. So they've been, in cahoots with these judges the entire time. And when you find the level, the FBI, the media, the judges, the prosecutors, the marshals, the prison wardens. Listen, I was taken off lists. I couldn't communicate with these prisoners in the prisons. The wardens would find my name and it was gone. And they didn't want me to get the information to them that they needed to fight for their freedom. And it's systematic. And the American public is just learning that guys like Stuart Rhodes and Jeremy Brown, guys like the Proud Boys that went for security reasons and to protect other people and never did anything wrong. The truth is finally coming out, and I'm sorry that it's such a bitter pill to swallow for people. And there comes a point when you get played that you just have to admit it. And I think a lot of people are coming to the realization, and we still have a long way to go.
Now, I have heard through some of my own channels that Trump is putting his foot down, that some of that is happening in the DOJ right now. What are you hearing on that front?
It's the same. And look, you almost have to look at it like the 2020 election. You have to let them complete their crime so you can actually do so. If I threaten to do something to you, it's not bad. But if I do something to you, it's real bad. They're doing things to us right now. There are real world, real time, painful consequences for these things. And lessons have to be learned. We have to have an example, a moment in time in our history where the bad people got justice, and what that looks like and what that feels like, sounds like, smells like, and to remember it in such a way that, we know not to mess with the USA or the citizens of America, because it's a bad road to go down, and we will defend ourselves. We will defend others. And, unfortunately, these same things that have been happening to J6ers, it's not a one of, it's not the first. And if we don't do something, it's not the last. Other communities have been suffering these same pains from the same judges and prosecutors in prisons for decades. And it didn't affect us, so we didn't know and we didn't care. But I'm telling you, you can't put good, God-fearing, innocent people in prison and keep them there and expect them not to write down all the crimes that you're carrying out and all the corruption. And those people were never going to stay. J6ers are not permanent fixtures in the prison. So they come out and now they are on fire to fix the BOP, to shut these institutions down, to save a lot of other innocent people that have been overcharged. And I think this is a great come together moment for Americans on both sides of this political aisle, because this has to be solved. They're destroying families. They're embezzling. They're stealing from us. They're torturous. It's inhumane, subhuman conditions, torture us, and it has to stop.
There need to be severe repercussions for obstructing justice. And I know that there are some moves inside the DOJ that are happening right now. We'll just see if it actually bears fruit. When we come back from the break, David Sumrall, StopHate.com. We're going to be talking about what you can do to help bring justice to the rest of the J6ers.
Behind the power.
Vladimir Putin will remain in office until 2036.
Beneath the secrecy.
You'll be the most powerful man in the world.
Is the real story that defies reality. Putin is being called bold.
What's your strategy to bring them back to the Stone Age?
Chilling. You won't be able to look away.
How can his kingdom last?
Putin. Rated R. In select theaters January 10th.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement. I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
You know, if I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's feeling like more energy, more get up and go. And it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
And we're back with David Sumrall. He is a J6 expert, but really a champion for justice. Once again, thank you so much for everything you've done. Many families, boy, it just gets me emotional. Many families tonight are thankful for all the work that you put in. I just bless you and your family as well.
Well, I appreciate that so much. It's been really special for me to hear these stories, and to help these people through this journey that they've been on. It's been long and difficult, and I had to carry it full circle myself, and I had to be at a prison when they were released, and I had to take somebody home, and I had the privilege of taking Richard Big O Barnett, the guy that had his feet up in Pelosi's office. And listen, it was great. We went straight from the big house to the Waffle House, and he had a feast, and then we went and met his family a several hour drive away, and it was just so rewarding. And we all need some closure, and we all need some healing. It's going to take a very, very long time to heal from the pain that this has put these people through, and it's real torture. And I just want people to know that they need that support now as much as ever. Carry them through this healing process and restoration. And there's still things that Trump needs to do to make them whole, of course, financially, spiritually, health-wise. Their mental state is probably not 100%. So we really could use the help from people, and the support and the prayers amazingly were the most important thing through this 4 years, was just the prayer support. We can feel the difference, and God really helped carry these people through.
Well, when the J6ers are ready, yes, I hope that they make Spokane a stop. We are wide open here at On Fire Ministries for them to come and give their testimony about what happened, and also just the cautionary tale that this should never, ever happen again.
That's right. And I think they'd be happy to tell their stories. These people are like disciples now. And, there's the unintended consequence of what the government tried to do to us, was to bring us all together and put us in a place. And we've all heard this story before, that when you're left with nothing, a lot of times that's where you find God or rekindle that relationship with Him. And I want to tell you, there's some spiritual warriors that are coming out of this, and some leaders, and some really, fantastic people we're going to see a lot from. And change is necessary. And when you've been forged by fire, all this other stuff seems like a walk in the park. And these people are ready for the next phase, the next couple of phases. And I hope that we get a lot more accomplished in a short period of time.
Well, Spokane's doors are open, so I look forward to seeing them when they're ready, and it's going to be an amazing thing. It's probably going to be some catharsis and healing, just being able to turn all those things into a testimony. So that brings us to, what can people do right now? There's momentum. We have power. We're the government of the United States of America. We the people, right? So what can we be doing to help bring justice to these last few political prisoners?
Well, there's justice for these last guys. I think that's first on our list personally, because of our family and friends and who we're really in the trenches with. And I believe that, just the publicity, the posts, the begging your senators and congressmen to be involved and pay attention. They didn't do a lot for us over 4 years, and you are right. The power is ours. We have to see what that feels like and exercise that ourselves, and then just tell Trump what we're doing and what we did. And I guarantee you, if we're doing good and we get in trouble for it, there's a good chance he's going to pardon us. So just do good and just guarantee that, that's the right thing to do. And we need to really get back to the basics of that. Now, second, what can people do to physically help? Let's say, Jenny Cudd is now Jenny McCombs. She was a J6er. And a couple of years ago, she knew that we would get to this point, and she started a retreat or a regrowth or a rebirth center almost for these J6ers. It's down in Fredericksburg, Texas, and they've built some tiny homes. They're literally building out a community. And it's more than just housing, guys. It's counseling, therapy, it's job training, it's banking, it's tax help, it's medical, it's dental. It's set up very well. She's worked with the community. They've rallied around this cause in an amazing way. And the celebrities that have signed on to help have not heard a bit. That's really good for people to see what's happening. So J6 Road Home is the name of her project. You can look it up online. And I don't know if it's .com or .org. It's probably .com. And check it out and give $1 or $2 and help support these guys through their journey. It's open to the J6 community to come and go as you need. You know, if you need to stay 3 or 4 days, that's great. If you need to stay a week or 2, that's fine. If you need to stay a couple of months, that's perfectly good. We need healing therapy, community, you know, like-minded people that have suffered through the same thing. I'll give you a short example, and I'm not saying any names, and this is the way it is, but the reacclimation, the getting back to the basics. You think, man, you can go home, you can be happy, you can get a good night's sleep, you can take a nice shower, get a good meal, hug your family.
Yeah.
But I heard a story from one of the J6 families that, you know, one of the guys was taking a shower at home and literally had a panic attack and a meltdown because he didn't have his shower shoes on. When you're in jail, you have shower shoes and you have to wear them. And he didn't have his shower shoes. And you got to consider how many years these guys have been subjected to that kind of torture and, you know, routine that is totally inhumane. And then to come out, you're not going to be instantly whole. So one of the things that we've tried to do is to get them home. It was a big, major project. Freedom's Ambassador, sponsored all through AmericanPatriotRelief.org. They were amazing. I'm on the board of directors there as well. And we tried to forge the path for these people and make it as easy as possible. And it has not been without its bumps and holes, but we're getting them there. And almost everyone is home. Some people are still to this day in transit because the way things are. So we've had to pay for hotel rooms and gas and fuel for families and airplanes and bus rides. I don't know if we've done any bus rides, but I know we've done airplanes and everything else. It's been really great to see the communities rally around, wait outside the prison for hours, you know, a whole day and to the next day even, and then to carry these people home and surround them and love them. So those are ways. AmericanPatriotRelief.org is still active. And any money that they raise that's left over is going to the J6ers and their families. So it's a win-win on that respect. There's one other that I'd like to mention is American Gulag Chronicles. And you can go to either AmericanGulagChronicles.org or you can go to lettersfromprison.us. That's my favorite. It's easy. Lettersfromprison.us. We're coming out with our 3rd book, and it's called The Road Home. And the 3rd in a series of prisoners' books, letters from these guys that while they were in there, what they were expressing, what they were experiencing, and what they experienced on J6. You know, so it's really the 3rd of a series that's really important for history, and we're trying to get people to help see that back into our memory, into the libraries, into your homes, into your conversations, and really pay attention now that it's okay, now that it's safe to understand what really happened. Read the stories from their own hand and learn what they experienced and help us. That's the big thing.
Well, David, as well, you know, here at On Fire, we've dealt with a lot of veterans, PTSD from war, particularly, and we love to open ourselves up to pray with anybody that would like to be prayed with, and just no agenda, just to pray with them and to help them process through everything that they've experienced and achieve some soul healing, because they're probably, you know, emotionally triggered with some things that they don't even realize. Like you said, with the shower, I mean, who would think that would happen? But for him, that was a big thing. So we just we'll be open to that and would love to help you in any way possible as well.
We appreciate that so much. And listen, we've can't thank you enough for your support throughout this whole endeavor. And so many people would not talk about this, and the few, the brave, we can't thank you enough, because you saw it, you experienced it, you witnessed it, you helped us. And we don't forget that. These J6ers are very appreciative people. I will spread your information to as many as you want as far as having them on here. You'll find some really great folks and really great interviews and stories. And They need to be heard because we can't let this happen again. It was unprecedented, but people didn't know the reason. There were deaths that day, but none of them were police. There were horrible physical, violent attacks, but they weren't from the people. So when you've had all the stories backwards for so long, our last film that we did, Tucker said everyone in America should see it. And by my count, they haven't. It's J6, A True Timeline. And we take a chronological view, just like writing history.
Yeah.
But instead of just having the videos from the day, we have videos from the police and the body cams and everything, all the different versions and views and sound. And I encourage people to go see what actually happened. J6, A True Timeline. It's at stophate.com as well. You can click and find the link right there. But, educate yourself, teach your children, how close we came to losing this. And I want Trump to understand that if it wasn't for J6, there's a really good chance you would have never won, because J6 became the most important topic when everyone said it was nothing, that it was juvenile, that it was childish. And here we go, carrying it across the finish line. And I hope that he eventually gives them the hero's welcome that they absolutely deserve.
Well, we want to be with you and the rest of the J6ers through this next phase, this next season of restoration. And thank you again, David Sumrall. We will have you on again, and just can't thank you and honor you enough for sticking in there. And this is what it means to be an American, seeing it all the way through to the end.
Yes, thank you so much. God bless you for having me.
God bless. David Sumrall, stophate.com. Check that out. And also go take a look at the true timeline regarding January 6th. It's incredible. And it's unmistakable what really happened. I suspect that the investigations that are going to be in the offing and some of the things that are going to be released and declassified here in the next couple of years are going to shock America. But they haven't shocked you in Patriot Radio land, because you've been paying attention and we've been bringing it to you all along. Well, as we end the show today, what can you do? Visit stophate.com. Be a part of the solution. You want to join our prayer team here at On Fire Ministries, where we're going to be praying for some of these folks. Please contact us. But really, the biggest thing that you can do is spread this QR code to anybody you know from J6 that needs prayer, needs somebody to walk with them through this phase, this season of restoration. And as the cautionary tale is, this can never happen again. So we can't rest on our laurels. We need to see this all the way through to the finish line. And the finish line is where there'll be justice for those that are dragging their feet and ignoring what President Trump's clear intent is as the commander-in-chief of the United States. This is Matt Shea. Thank you for joining me here on Patriot Radio. May God bless all of you. He is making this generation the greatest one. The awakening is here. But keep up the fight.